or through glass models, no one offers more choices. More Pet Supplies is also your source for the popular pet doors made by Security Boss Manufacturing, makers of the best pet doors on the market. Check them out now online at www.morepet.com. That's www.morepet.com, or call them toll free at 1-800-829-7876. Give yourself and your pet the freedom. More Pet Supplies and Security Boss products. Again, that's morepet.com. www.morepet.com.
Got pain? Call Dr. Wayne. Chiropractic care may be your answer. Queen Creek Back Care. Located in Queen Creek on 20231 East Ocotillo Road on the backside of True Value Hardware Store. Safe, effective treatment with chiropractic and same-day appointments to speed your healing. With more than a decade of experience and hundreds of satisfied patients, Dr. Wayne Christensen will provide you the pain relief you've been searching for. Dr. Wayne is fully qualified to treat the entire family, even children. Call for an appointment today. 480-677-3900. That's 480-677-3900.
All right, we're back here on Off the Top Rope Radio on good old Kqck.com. We appreciate you spending your Thursday with us. We're heard each and every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, and we're glad that you, the true professional wrestling fan, are here listening to us each and every week. And if you're looking at the live video now of us inside the studio, we do have the volume all worked out. Everything seems to be just fine. So we appreciate you bringing that to our attention, because if there's anything that you ever see that doesn't look right, please make sure you send us an email or a text like you did. I want to thank my good buddy out there, Morgan Dollar, for pointing that out to us. So, Morgan, if you are listening to us still, go over to our live video feed to see what's going on inside the studio. And we're going to bring on our very special guest this week. He is a longtime wrestling icon, in my opinion, in this business, and somebody who is richly deserved, I think, in some ways more due to his talent level and expertise inside the wrestling ring. And I'll explain that a little bit later on as we go on with the interview. But this year, the Cauliflower Alley Club, the CAC, will be honoring him with the Iron Mike Mazurki Award, one of the most prestigious one of the most exceptional awards that you can receive in the wrestling world. And he's somebody who I am very anxiously looking to talk with. He is Mr. Terry Taylor, right here on Off the Top Rope Radio. Terry, how you doing, bud?
Never better. Happy and grateful to be on with you guys.
Thanks so much, man. It's good to hear your voice, especially here on Off the Top Rope Radio, heard exclusively every Thursday on KQCK radio station. And, like I mentioned a moment ago, Terry, getting this award for the Cauliflower Alley Club, I know that you told me off the air that you don't do a lot of interviews anymore. You don't really talk too much about things, and you kind of be living more of a private life and kind of being more in the shadows and whatnot. And we really appreciate your time today to talk about your career and, of course, the big title that you're going to be getting here at the CAC this coming June.
Yeah, it's my first time going to Cauliflower Alley, and I'm really excited. I want to thank Carl Lauer for staying with it. He invited me the last couple of years, and it just didn't work out because it's so close to WrestleMania.
Right.
And now the date moving and just everything lined up, and I'm just really grateful. The more I find out about this award, I guess the more humbled I am that they would consider me for it. It's an awesome privilege.
Yes. The two biggest awards, one is the Iron Mike Award, which you'll be receiving, and the Lou Thez Award this year will be taken home, I should say, by somebody who you know very well in your wrestling career and even now at the WWE, Mr. Michael P.S. Hayes. So to see you guys headlining the CAC this year, like you used to headline great matches in the UWF back in the day, it's a tremendous honor to see both of you at the CAC. And I know you meet a lot of new people. You get to meet some new friends and reminisce with some old ones. And it's going to be an awesome event each and every year in Las Vegas, Nevada at the CAC. The Gold Coast Hotel is going to be a buzz because Terry Taylor and Michael Hayes are main eventing this year's awards ceremony. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's funny that when Michael Hayes and I used to go into a town, it was going to be Rex for a bunch of different reasons, but a little calmer, more mature us, I hope, this time.
Yeah.
We're excited about it, both of us. He and I have spoken about it. He's excited, too.
Excellent. We're trying to get him on the air next week here before the event comes, because after next Thursday, Tuesday rolling around is when I'll be flying into Vegas and going to be enjoying the sights and the sounds of the eventual awards there. And, we got the Bologna Blowout the night before. We have the big awards ceremony Wednesday evening, the great memorabilia tables out there, and the pictures and just some of the things that are associated with the CAC is tremendous. Now, just to reiterate, you've never been to a CAC event before. Is that correct?
No, it's true. Yeah, Carl and I have been speaking the last couple of years. I mean, I guess this is the third year we've talked about it, and this is the first one that actually worked out.
Nice.
Company sending me, WWE is so good about that. Ben is taking care of everything, and I think that Jerry Briscoe and Sergeant Slaughter will be going too. So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, to not see Sergeant Slaughter at a CAC event is a big deal, because he's there every year. Him and J.J. Dillon, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, they're mainstays. They're lifelong members here, and I really hope that now with it being in June that they moved it around. I really do hope that you can kind of make this an annual event, because I know there's a lot of fans out there who are very much fans of yours, from the wrestling years, and we have to go into your career in detail here, but for Terry Taylor to be involved in so many facets in the world of professional wrestling, like some of the greatest territories, the National Wrestling Alliance, the UWF, Mid-South, world-class championship wrestling with the Von Erichs, and, the Freebirds back in the day there, so many great talents. And I want to go to one of the questions here that we got from our fans, because I always open up and say, if you have any comments or questions for our guests, please do so. And I want to go to those here in a minute or two. But what is the best memory that you have of, in my opinion, one of the greatest wrestling promotions that was world-class championship wrestling?
World-class was a blast, but I wasn't there that long. I was only there 6 months. I was working for the UWF with Bill Watts,
right,
with Mike and all those guys for 3 years before that. But the thing about world-class I remember was the fans were great, but I remember fighting for my life against the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
This was, Michael Hayes and I used to laugh about it, but the Von Erich, when the red light was on for television, they went wide open, and Terry was so big and strong, nobody could stop him, and, Kevin was high flyer and agile and aggressive, and both of those things were just, what I remember was fighting for my life. I may not be what you were looking for, but that was it. That was it.
No, you're right about that, because if you look back at some of the matches that involved Kevin Von Erich, this guy had no fear inside the ring. He wore no shoes. He was barefoot. He came in there and he'd plaster you. If you watch some of the matches, some of the punches he threw in his matches, he was out there for blood, and he had a style about him that was so extraordinary. I know you were there only for a short time, which is why I asked you that question, because, in a 6 or 8 month period like you were there, there had to have been some great moments. And then you talked about the UWF, which was some of the greatest wrestling that I ever saw. It was basically, 48 minutes without the commercials, just tremendous wrestling action. You had people like Bill Watts and Jim Ross and some of the greats out there. The UWF Mid-South era, that was, to me, some of the best wrestling that ever took place. And I want to read this question now by the fan, because this kind of goes along with this. Our friend Brandon Dack, he's from Southwest Minnesota. He says, "Hey, Shank, what was Terry Taylor's favorite feud in each promotion he wrestled in? The NWA, the UWF / Mid-South, the WWF, and WCW, and why?" He's a big fan of yours and would like to know if you could, with those 3 or 4 different things there, if you could answer those for him.
In Mid-South, one of my favorite feuds was with Nikolai Volkov and the Russians.
Okay.
Because it put me on the map. Those guys went out there at 330 pounds and could have killed me anytime they wanted, and made me look good and protected me, and we had a great chemistry, and the matches are really good. Butch Reed was great.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to work with guys that were really, top-notch wrestlers that were, had a great spirit of giving and making the match great. And I just, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but I had a good run with Flair there too, as he came in and out. In WWE, it had to be with Bobby Heenan and Steve Lombardi.
Yeah.
Bobby showed me a lot of love when I got there and took me under his wing when he didn't have to, and led me through the maze of the politics, and took good care of me, and was a sympathetic ear when I didn't know what was going on, and he helped me through a lot of tough times, being in the biggest and greatest wrestling promotion in the world when you'd never been there before.
Sure.
In WCW, this is going to be kind of selfish, but the best I had was with Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson, because they were so phenomenally talented.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like nights off. I knew I was never going to get hurt. They were always in the right place. They knew what to do, and it was just great chemistry of two guys dancing to the same tune with the same thought, doing the same thing, and it was just phenomenal.
Oh, without a doubt. I like Bobby Eaton's answer there, because I saw Bobby in New Orleans for WrestleMania 30. He was part of the Mid-South Legends reunion at the Chalmette Center there. I guess it used to be called the old St. Bernard building. I'm sure you laced up your boots a few times in there, didn't you?
Yeah, why wasn't I invited to that?
I don't know. I kept looking for you, man. We had so many great people there, like the One Man Gang, Hacksaw Duggan, Greg the Hammer Valentine was there, Shane Douglas, the Rock and Roll Express, the Fantastics. And by the way, before I forget, and this is directly from my good buddy Tommy Rogers, one half of the Fantastics. He said, now I'm gonna pull this up directly here, but it's a good question why you weren't there, because if anybody should have been there, it was you. Did you know the event was actually taking place?
No, and to be honest, the WWE is so good about letting people do things like this.
I know.
I'll be honest, for selfish reasons, I really missed I don't care about the money part. I just wanted to go and see everybody.
Right.
Those were probably the 3 best years of my wrestling career in ring. I mean, I had such a wonderful time. I actually called Bill Watts 10 years after the territory closed, because I was so hard. He worked us so hard and demanded perfection and wanted professionalism, and his name was on the company. He made us great professionals. And I called him and I thanked him for teaching me how to be a professional and how to be a man, and to own my behavior stuff and demand that I was a better talent.
Right.
And he was like, he thought I was kidding. He thought, are you serious? Like, yeah. So you ran the best wrestling company at that time in the world, and you let me be a part of it. Thank you.
That's that's cool. Not a lot of the boys would actually do that, and I know some people have had issues with Bill Watts in the past, but that's a tremendous thing you did there, and it would have been great to see you there, because so many people were there and part of it, and it was a great event. So I want to read this. This is directly from text on my telephone here from Tommy Rogers, one half of the Fantastics, a good friend of mine. This was on May 17th when I told him that you were coming on this show. I said, do you have anything you want to say to Terry since he's going to be on the phone? And this is directly from Tommy. He says, yes. Tell him thank you for not staying with the Fantastic ones with Bobby Fulton, because me and Bobby would never have been the Fantastics, and it's one of the best things I ever did. Plus, tell Terry Taylor he's one of the best in-ring workers and great psychologists inside the ring. I love Terry Taylor. So that's direct from Tommy Rogers.
Yeah, I love Tommy, too. He's a great guy. Yeah. I actually saw him for about 5 minutes in New Orleans. He came through the hotel looking for somebody else and bumped into me, and it was awesome to say hi to him. And I guess he lives in Hawaii. Yes, he does.
And I gotta tell you something here, Terry, and I feel pretty proud about this. I actually reconnected him with Kevin Von Erich, because Kevin Von Erich also lives out in Hawaii, and I gave him Kevin's phone number. They hooked up, and get this, Tommy flew out to see Kevin this week and sent me all these really cool looking pictures of where Kevin lives, with these nice, beautiful streams and the ocean and everything. So I was proud to be a part of that, and just by passing on a phone number, and they got together and talked some good times. So that's great, reminiscing.
Yeah, this business, you never know what's going to be around the corner with guys, either moving or dying or changing lives and stuff. And it's cool whenever you can reconnect with somebody you shared some of those, cool memories with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I wish you were part of that Mid-South reunion, because One Man Gang, George Gray was there, and this guy is absolutely hilarious. When he's on, like you said a minute ago, when the camera light was on for the Von Erichs, they're ready to go. Same thing with One Man Gang, but when that camera light was off, George Gray is one of the nicest, quietest, most sincere people I ever met. It was just an honor to see him.
And there's another guy that I had a great run with.
Yes.
I mean, when we worked together, he was 500 pounds when we worked together, and he never hurt me.
I know.
I mean, it's pretty frightening watching that 500 pounds come crashing down on that 747 splash.
Oh, yeah.
But he never hurt me.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
So, and I'm not tough, so that's a testament to his skill, not my toughness.
No, I hear you there. I hear you there. No, you are tough in your own way. There's no doubt about it. Terry Taylor joining us right here on Off the Top Rope Radio at Brian Shank, and we're on KQCK radio station here. Heard exclusively every Thursday right here on KQCK.com, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're talking to Terry Taylor, having a great chat, getting a chance to kind of reminisce a little bit. And, you know, like I said, your career is so widespread, and I'm just kind of jumping all over the place. But, you know, here at Off the Top Rope Radio, we don't have a lot of structure in terms of where we go. It's just more or less just having a fun talk like we're doing. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, some of your parts of your career, and that, you know, for the most part of your career early in your time, that you were a huge baby face. Let's face it, Terry Taylor is one of the best looking wrestlers, came out there, had the awesome long hair back in the 80s. We all had those awesome mullets. You had the body on you. You could really move inside the ring. You were a real good ring technician and full of psychology. And when we saw you eventually turn heel, a lot of people were like, whoa, this is not something we were looking at. But I thought when you turned heel, you just had that natural attitude about you, and that just snottiness and everything just came out on you, and it worked so well. How did you feel when you had to make your first heel turn like that?
Well, Eddie Gilbert had said to me, he said, "You've done about all you can do as a babyface here."
Yeah.
He said, "You know, the people still like you, but while they still like you, I think we have an opportunity here. Would you be interested in turning heel?" And I don't want to say this the wrong way, but being a good guy is a pain in the neck, because you got to be nice to everybody. And it's not that the fans aren't great, but back then they didn't know wrestling wasn't real. And I don't mean that with any sort of negativity.
Sure, I hear you.
In Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, they got into it.
Oh yeah.
You know, they didn't have athletic teams like the, you know, football teams and basketball and other outlets, and the economy was depressed, and it was a tough time for people in the mid '80s, economically.
Sure.
So when they could escape from that, you know, those troubled lives, and go to a wrestling match and just feel by what they saw in the ring and get caught up in it, they were into it. So being a good guy, people, you know, you'd be eating dinner with your family, and people come up and stick paper in your face and say, "Sign this." Not that they mean anything. It's just, you know, they don't know how to approach it.
Right.
And you every single day, and people want from you, and it's not bad because it's part of the job, but sometimes you just want to get away from it. And back then, you didn't play a character; you played who you were 24/7. It was a lifestyle.
Sure.
So when he said turn bad, I said, yeah. I was frustrated a little bit anyway, because I was tired. I was bleeding every night.
Yeah.
I was driving 3,000 miles a week. I was wrestling 9 times, hurt, sick, whatever. And, you know, it can get frustrating.
Oh, sure.
So I was ready. And when Eddie said, "Do you want to do it?" I said, "Yeah, let's see what happens." And it was fun.
Yeah. Well, you were a natural at it. That's what I'm saying, because when you turned, it was just like you got that anger in you, and it kind of resurrected itself about 4 years later or so in the WWF at the time, when you turned on Bobby Heenan. Now you were turning back into a face as the Red Rooster, and you still had that fire and that meanness towards Bobby by letting it out, therefore becoming a babyface again at the time. But it was very similar in your reaction and your attitude, and I thought it was just very natural. It was a nice heel turn, good face turn once again. And you were kind of back and forth a little bit in between when you were with the WWE at the time, and then, of course, with WCW as a tailor-made man and Terrence Taylor and whatnot. So if I had to say, you were good at both. I think you were a great heel and a great face, and sometimes some people are not good heels. Some people are not good baby faces. I think when Hercules Hernandez turned face, not very good. He was more of this awesome specimen on camera who had that look about him and that ego. He didn't work out as a baby face, so it stuck him. I could never see Tito Santana as a heel, in my opinion. So you were able to do that in both ways, and you did them well. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, thanks. You know, the funny thing is the first 8 years of my career when I was a babyface, I won a lot of matches and had a great push and had no idea what I was doing. Mm-hmm. It was guys like Dutch Mantell and Dennis Condrey and, you know, the guys that had been in the business a while that had led me to these great matches that made me look good. Mm-hmm. And that was, you know, about me learning and taking. Mm-hmm. And then when I became a heel, it's not about you anymore as a heel. It's all about making the people care about the babyface, and it's all about the match being better.
Right.
And being a heel is so much, it's so much less selfish than a babyface. And it was fun. You go out there and you don't worry about how you look, because you're going to look like an idiot. That's what the people want to see.
Right. And I think I've heard a lot of people echo those same statements by saying they love being the heel because you can get away with so much more and do so much more. And even Dennis Condrey, you talked about him. Great guy. I got to know him before. I met him down in New Orleans, and him and I had a wonderful interview here on the show a few months back. And he kind of said the same thing about being a heel in those days, because you mentioned about Louisiana, Mid-South. They thought that everything that they saw was legit, and if they didn't like you, they'd try to bring you food and poison you. They would throw batteries at you. They would try to smack you and hit you whenever they could at any given moment. He said it was fun, but he says it was like you just said a moment ago. It was a 24/7 type of lifestyle where you were always kind of watching out for yourself as being a heel back in these territories, because it was so much embraced by those wrestling fans all the time.
Yeah, no, being a heel is a different lifestyle, because those people believed, and they got caught up in it. And when they got upset, that mob mentality, I teach at the WWE Performance Center now, and when I talk to these 22-year-old kids about a riot and how the people come in the ring, they're going, well, why would they do that?
Yeah.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
And they just don't understand how people viewed it in the past, and how into it they got, and how invested the audience was.
Right.
And to try to tell these kids about that, they don't understand. But to get the people to care about that much is when you're really working well, the match is working right, the character is being portrayed the right way, and then the people are so invested into what you're doing, then you can. I don't know. It's that emotional roller coaster that people want to be taken on.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. And that's why I like to look back at some of the old DVDs that I have and some of the old footage. I love sitting there inside my room, decorating or changing things around or moving furniture. I pop in an old 1986 NWA TBS taping and just listen to Tony Schiavone and Davey Crockett call everything going on with the Midnight Express beating up on Keith Steinborn and Bill Mulkey. Just stuff like that is so magical. And it's true. I've got season sets of these things, and I cherish them because that was the era that I grew up in. And you're on a lot of those tapes. You talked about Nikolai Volkov back in '84 when him and Crusher Darsow, Barry Darsow, Crusher Khrushchev. I know you beat him for the title. I think you held the TV title. I think 4 times. I believe.
You say so.
Yeah. Well, you had some great matches too with, Nature Boy Buddy Landell. These are names of great wrestlers back in the day. And if you want to see just a great wrestling match from beginning to end, to me, pull up a match between Buddy Landell and Terry Taylor, or Terry Taylor and Ric Flair for that matter, and you'll see what wrestling was all about. And, it's different nowadays. There's some great athletes out there, but I think that the psychology and the timing and the pace of the match and the storytelling, it has changed a little bit over the years, obviously, but like I said, I'm glad that we have those old memories to go back on and just rewatch them again. Do you ever watch any of the old stuff at all? Do you ever go back and just kind of pop into video and say, I remember this, I remember that, or whatever?
I actually teach it's called the finishing class at the Performance Center.
Right.
It's the guys that are just getting ready to get called up to WWE, and my job is to help them create their personas, have their moveset and finishing sequences and all that stuff to match their characters, so they're a complete presentation when they get called up. There's not a 6-month lapse in their ability. When they get up there, they can immediately, like Bray Wyatt, get into the main event mix. The Shield. All these guys that came from the Performance Center or the developmental system have moved right into great spots, as a testament to their talent as much as anything. And my job now is to show these kids, they know the moves, is to get the people to feel a certain way when you want them to feel that way by what you do.
Right.
So I show them old tapes. I show them Dick Murdoch for, Rough and Tumble.
Yeah.
I show them Billy Graham as a character that can, who's built better than anybody, but spent most of the time either in the air getting beat up or on his knees begging not to get beat up.
Yeah.
And he was 6'5", 280, and was jacked.
Yeah.
And he was like a coward, and he's just so great. And I watched a 1961 match with Buddy Rogers and Pat O'Connor.
Wow.
2 out of 3 fours, and it's a classic.
Tremendous.
And I want these kids to see how wrestling used to be and how it got to where we are now.
Yeah.
And just to see how to be able to tell stories.
Yep.
Not just go out and do a bunch of moves because they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a very exciting time in the business because there's so much opportunity with the network and so many hours of original content. We need talent, and these kids are going to be called up, and they're going to make a huge splash.
Mm-hmm.
And the deal that's so fun for me is I see these kids now, and pretty soon they're going to be where they want to be, doing what they love, and they're going to be making the business better.
Absolutely.
And that's gratifying.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you got people like Bo Dallas coming up here. You have to believe, obviously, as they're kind of putting on those vignettes.
I do believe.
Do you believe about Bo? You believe?
I believe. How about Adam Rose?
Adam Rose, I like Adam Rose. He's kind of. I hope the whole thing with Adam Rose does catch on here in America, because when we saw Raw here just last Monday night in England, boy, you talk about being over at the crowd. I mean, doing his theme song and just totally getting into it. I really hope Adam Rose does catch on out here in the U.S. Do you think his character and his ability inside the ring can be someone that he would?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's a hard-working guy with integrity
Mm-hmm.
and a great heart and talent. He just has to get out there, and it's going to take him a while. I mean, if you think about it, I think there's like 16 guys that are new in the last year that have been called up, maybe 20.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
It is.
But they're all doing well, and the deal is they just have to find their way. And it takes time, and they all want to be over, like with the audience, recognized and have their move sets and all that recognized, but that takes years.
Sure.
So, it starts somewhere, and they just have to put the time in, and eventually, people are gonna go, oh man, remember Adam Rose? He started a year ago, 3 years ago. He's awesome.
Yep.
And he'll have been awesome for 2 years, but it takes time for the audience to invest and then get, acquainted with him.
Right. And all those wrestling fans out there, don't be lemons. Be a rosebud, okay? Be happy to see Adam Rose, because the guy definitely has talent. I've seen him wrestle as other characters in the past and everything. I know a little bit about his background. And, how proud are you of somebody like Bray Wyatt, who has basically taken the World Wrestling Entertainment by storm with just being so good inside the ring? And you talked about showing these guys these old tapes, these old mannerisms, these old characteristics and whatnot. I mean, you can blend so many people in Bray Wyatt's character, and it works. I mean, him singing "Got the Whole World in My Hands," grabbing the 2 top ropes and pulling his head back and looking at you like a maniacal madman, having his 2 henchmen out there. I mean, I think the whole world in World Wrestling Entertainment really, really likes Bray Wyatt. I'm a big fan.
I am too. That guy, you say there's a lot of characters in him, and while that may be true, I think he's completely unique.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy there's nobody like him.
Yeah.
And he's just, I don't know, he's just a phenomenal talent, and the guy moves unlike anybody else. The explosiveness and his ability to move at 300 pounds is just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll talk, he can sell, I don't know, ice Eskimos or whatever the term is, because the guy is just a phenomenal talker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I don't think that's... I'm sorry, go ahead, Terry.
No, and he's a great guy. I think he's 27. Can you imagine how he's going to be after he's had 10 years of being on television, how over he's going to be?
Oh, yeah.
People are trying to turn him now.
I know.
They love him.
I'm thinking in the next 2 years, you're probably going to see a championship belt around his waist, or someone like Roman Reigns for that matter, because you talk about some of these guys who are up and coming. I mean, Cesaro is another great name, and I think that the future looks very well. And I'm happy, very happy that you are the person involved in this, because as much as you've said you've had so many people in the past who have helped you and helped you groom yourself into the wrestler and the person inside the ring that you've become over the years, I think now it's you giving back. And I couldn't think of anybody else, seriously, than Terry Taylor to be the one that I'm going to have teach me and consult me and counsel me inside the ring, because there is still that old part of the old school wrestling in the current WWE product that needs to be there. And it does show. If you look and you watch, you'll see it there. And there's so many great talent out there right now, and I just wish them all the best in the future, because they're gonna be big stars. Like you said, 27 years old, that's a baby right now in the business, without a doubt.
Yeah, and to be as good as he is already.
Yeah.
And listen, I appreciate the kind words, but you know what? We've got 7 phenomenal coaches at the Performance Center, and it's a team effort. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, we've got Norman Smiley, who's a technician. Screaming Norman was his claim to fame in WCW.
Love Norman.
Nick Dinsmore, who was Eugene, which is, character-driven. We have Sarah Amato, Sarah Del Rey, who's the first ever female trainer in WWE, teaching the Divas. I mean, she's incredible. We have Billy Gunn.
Yes.
I mean, who's a better athlete than Billy Gunn, teaching guys the ups and downs? Robbie Brookside's English.
Yeah.
He's great. He's got the whole English thing down, and he used to work in Germany. Bill DeMott, the head coach that oversees everything. Now think of this. You're a young talent that's coming up. You've learned the moves. You've got the psychology. You think you're pretty good. And you're a talking coach. The coach on promos is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, baby.
Does it get any better than that? I mean, to prepare these kids.
Take it to the pay window, baby. If you got Dusty Rhodes telling you what's going on, and to be somebody like these people who are learning from you, I mean, that is a tremendous talent. And I can't think of a better opportunity to be in with all those people you mentioned. And I mentioned you directly because I have you on the show here, and it's easy to say it directly to you. But no, you're right. You're amongst great company out there. And I know the developmental program with the WWE. It's top notch. When you look at some of the greats who have come out in the last couple, 3, 4 years and have made such a great splash in this industry, you can see that the talent level out there teaching them, and you have to have a certain amount of talent, obviously, going into this. You can only do so much, I'm sure, as a trainer by tweaking, suggesting, recommending, and whatnot, but you can't wrestle for that person. They're eventually going to have to go out there and rely on their own laurels and make their own things happen, right?
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. And the deal is I mean, the investment that WWE, Triple H especially, I mean, the Performance Center's 30,000 square feet, 7 rings in 1 room.
Man,
it's all wired and wireless. I mean, there's video cameras everywhere. They have a soundproof booth to do promos that you can instantly watch back and see how you did. There's office space. There's a state-of-the-art edit suite, a 10,000 square foot state-of-the-art Joe DeFranco gym with a world-class trainer. A fitness guy that's incredible. 1,000 square foot medical facility. I mean, this whole thing, and then the locker rooms. The kids have their own lounge upstairs.
Nice.
I mean, it's actually it's as good as anything in the NFL.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And we've got 80 people, 80 talent there, and 100 of us working in there every day, counting trainers and medical and everything else.
Awesome.
So we're working hard to crank out quality talent so the WWE universe will have, fresh, exciting talent for hopefully, forever.
Yeah.
I won't be here for long, but for at least a while.
You never know. Hey, when you said office space, did you mean the movie Office Space or actual office space itself?
No, like office for conference rooms, and they can do a deal where they do FaceTime. It's not called FaceTime. Yeah. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Where we can talk to people in Connecticut, see them on the TV screen. And we have all sorts, and we have access to like the network is. We can call that up anytime we want.
Mm-hmm.
We can record matches and stuff like that from in the training facility, and we can watch those back. I mean, the whole place is. I can't imagine anybody having anything that we don't have, including football, hockey, major league teams. There's nothing they have better than what we have. That's
cool. Well, and like I said, I've been involved with some of the things with the World Wrestling Entertainment, with WrestleMania. I've had opportunities with press credentials that have been graciously granted to us here on Kqck, and we've taken full advantage of them and very much appreciated by people like, Al Stavola and Joe Quinn and Joe Villa and these great guys inside the office who have always catered to us, and we really appreciate that. And when you go to the events as a part of the press, I mean, it's top-notch. You go up to a press booth. They have food for you. They have a lounging area. They make sure that you get in and do what you need to do. They're very gracious to you, and it's all about being with the best. The WWE is the best, and you and I talked about it off the air when I called you to set up the interview, and you said this is the premier wrestling company in the world, not just because of the name, but because of what they actually put into it. And just like the old saying with the Zenith TVs, the quality goes in before the name goes on. And I think that's a very good analogy for the WWE because the quality is there, and it is there for a reason because all the greats, I mean, look at the legends lineup that we have and look at all the awesome people who've wrestled for the past 30 years that are very much a part of the WWE family, and it's impressive. It really is. I like it.
Yeah, no, the deal is like, think about it. Bruno, for years, was negative towards the company, didn't like the product.
Right.
The company changed the product and then reached out to Bruno to try to patch that relationship because Triple H thought that the WWE Hall of Fame wasn't the WWE Hall of Fame without Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah.
It was that important to him to have the Hall of Fame be a true Hall of Fame. And he got Bruno in there. He spent a year talking to Bruno to get it worked out to where Bruno's concerns were covered. A trust had to be developed and then, cultivated. And now Bruno's part of the company and he believes in what we're doing.
Yep.
And it's great for us to have Bruno Sammartino representing us.
Oh, yeah.
Warrior. I mean, there's a guy that they had a terrible falling out 18 years ago. Triple H reached out to him and felt like he, being Warrior, needed to be honored and have a voice. When they go on that Hall of Fame, those legends, they're not told what to say. They're given an open microphone on a live stage to say whatever they want.
That's awesome.
And the company doesn't, tell them you can't say this. They give these guys an opportunity to say whatever they want because it's their moment. And how many people would ever do that?
Nah.
In this world of, Twitter and instant information, to have somebody say something, but the company so believes in what they're doing and the people they have in it that they just go up there and say, look, this is your time. Say what's on your heart. It's been phenomenal.
You brought up the Warrior a moment ago, Terry, and that was something that we really took quite hard here last month when he passed away, and we dedicated the month of April, each show, to the Warrior. And
awesome.
Yeah, we had everybody. We had Barry Darsow come on. I had Boris Zukov. These are all very good friends of mine, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying because I was honored to have them on the show, and they had great words to say about the Warrior. And they, some of them said, well, the Warrior, he was misunderstood in some respects because here's a guy who beat Hulk Hogan at a WrestleMania in front of 65, 70,000 people, and then had to now run as the champion for a year in the biggest wrestling conglomerate in the world. And maybe sometimes it came across like he was this or that, but they talked about the moments where he was in his limousine and so-and-so couldn't get to the airport or get to where they needed to go. He said, jump on in here. Let's go make it happen. Or so-and-so didn't have any money. He reached out and made sure that he had some money. I mean, Boris Zukov spoke so many great things about him. Jim Nelson, my good friend. And he had a lot of great things to say. Barry Darsow, I mean, he was tremendously happy about him. He says, there was a lot of things there that he was very gracious about. And for him to come back and for him to go out like he did, it was just heart-wrenching because when I read the news, when I came home from work, that he had passed away, I was shocked like anybody, just shocked. But then when I sat back after a few hours, maybe a couple days afterwards, Terry, and I sat there and I said, what a way for him to go out of this world, to do what he did that whole weekend, making peace with so many people, Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake Roberts, so many people. And when you saw that backstage footage of him and Hulk Hogan talking, it brought tears to my eyes because this is something that as a wrestling fan, now a journalist, with everything that I've been doing in this world, it meant a lot to me to see that happen. And for him now to be with the Lord above, and with so many of the fallen that we have had over the last so many years, just a tremendous, tremendous way for the Warrior to exit this life and begin his next one. I just wanted to say that. So.
Yeah, well, I was at the Hall of Fame, and I cried when he was talking about my most important job is to be your daddy, and he saw, my two daughters were sitting there with his wife, and and he seemed like he was in a good place in his life, and he was centered, and he was peaceful, and to be able to say what he wanted to say, and get out in front of the world, and let the world, remember him as he is now, not the guy that was misunderstood, that was so upset about that video series that was done about him, to have him come out, say what he needed to say, be himself, and see where he was in his life, because you could tell he was at peace. He felt good about where he was. He was happy with his family. He was, peaceful is the word I keep going back to. And then, I would rather, I guess, if you of being recognized and I don't want to say glorified, but kind of.
Yeah, sure.
And that, people go, yeah, I remember him. I had no idea what an influence he had on the guys in my class.
Oh, yeah.
I got guys that are 20 to 25, and I'm going, I loved Warrior as a kid. I dressed up like one. And I'm thinking, wow.
Yep.
And then, because I worked with him. I mean, as a producer, as a talent and all that, and I didn't see that side of it. Mm-hmm. And those kids were just, they were like, God, that's the Warrior. That's so awesome. And then when he died, they were all torn up. And I don't know. I guess we don't ever get to pick the way we go.
Right.
But that, to me, was about the best as far as being able to make peace with the world and then, get called home.
Amen, brother. Amen. I couldn't say any better than what you did, and I think maybe what you and I both had mentioned to say, to be called back like that and to hopefully be looking down at us right now and smiling even when we talk about him right now, because I want to think, I never knew the Warrior like you did, Jim Hellwig and whatnot, and there's a lot of people who knew him a hell of a lot better than many other people in this world, but I want to look at him and remember him as someone who entertained me inside the ring, who always made me smile with his promos, as hard as they were to understand at times, and as all over the board as they were, and as maniacal as they may have sounded when he was going for 3 months into that WrestleMania match with Hulk Hogan. I loved it. I loved everything he did. I thought just this whole presence and the whole aura of the Ultimate Warrior was the real deal. And, okay, he wasn't the greatest scientific wrestler. There's a lot of people who were great wrestlers in their year who weren't all that great inside the ring. But it's not always about being a great technician like yourself and maybe someone like Brad Armstrong and all these other guys and Bret Hart. But if you have it, which the Warrior had it, that leaves an impression. Look at how we're talking about him right now.
Well, the funny thing about Warrior is that I didn't really know until I watched this stuff back with the kids and the whole weekend with him at WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame. That guy gave everything he had, emotionally, physically, mentally, every single night he went out there. He never phoned it in.
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably the hardest working guy I've ever seen from the second he walked through the curtain, ran through the curtain, to the second he ran back through. I mean, the guy worked his tail off.
Yeah.
And never gave the people half of what he had. He left everything he had in the ring every night, and I admire that.
Yeah. No, without a doubt, and it's sad to say he's gone, but like we said a minute ago, we don't know how we're going to go or when we're going to go, but to have the exit that he did from this world and move on to the next, tremendous, and that was great stuff. So, Terry, I know we're kind of running a little bit late here, but that's okay. I want to kind of get over a few things here that I like to do at the end of the show here, and it's always called 5 Quick Questions with Brian, and today, my guest, Terry Taylor, live via telephone from his home out there in the South. I want to go ahead and give you 5 quick questions, and if you can, shoot me the first thing that comes into your head, okay?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
How long are my answers? Like one word? Or?
You can take as much time as you want, man. Don't matter.
Okay.
Just the first thing that pops. You can give an answer and explain it. Doesn't matter, but I just want the very first thing that comes in your head. Okay.
Okay.
First thing, if I could spend 5 minutes with anybody, living or dead, that person would be...
Jesus.
Ah, nice. What would you ask Jesus? Because I sat here one time and debated with a friend of mine, and I asked him what he would say and what we'd say, and I don't want to get too much into that, but what would be, if you could ask him just one question, what would that question be if that's not too broad?
I'd probably say, why me? Because I'm such a wretched human being that why would he die for me?
Yeah.
And I'm overwhelmed with that every time I think about it or talk about it. And some people won't understand that, and the ones that believe will.
Yeah.
Where I am in my life now is because of my faith and the faith that it's been granted to me by God to believe in Jesus.
Amen, man. Amen to that. And I think what you just said there a minute ago is that for those who don't believe, no explanation is good enough, and for those who do, no explanation is needed.
Yep.
And I totally believe that, and when I sit here sometimes and, talk about things and I look at my life sometimes, I'm like, I need that other side of me that I just need some sort of comfort and everything else. And I do believe there's a higher power. I do believe that there's something else that we go on to after this. I just don't think that this is everything. I just can't, we know our state of being alive and being human and eating and enjoying the things in this world and loving great stuff like food and professional wrestling for that matter. I just don't think that when our time comes that we have to leave our bodies, that this is it. I just don't think so. So
I would hope that, what hope is there if this is it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, exactly. You know, if you think about it, everlasting life. That's a great thought, man. So that's a good answer. I like it. It was kind of funny because who was it? I think. Was it One Man Gang when I had him on the show? I think it was One Man Gang. He said Elvis Presley was the one he'd like to talk to. So that's another good answer. But I like Jesus.
That's not a bad answer either.
No, thank you very much. Okay, the last meal. If I was going to the electric chair, they said, Terry Taylor, come on down. It's your time to go into the electric chair for a crime you committed, and I had to have one last meal. That last meal would be?
Probably shrimp scampi with a lot of garlic.
Yeah, I like that too. You just piss off the executioner, right, with all those smells coming out?
Too bad. You can hold it against me as they're carting me out.
That's what I was saying, piss them off, right? I love it. Shrimp scampi's great. Okay. To me, in my wrestling career, I've seen many talents who never really got a break. And to me, the most underrated and underachieving wrestler, in my opinion, let's just say underrated wrestler was...
It probably was going to either be Bobby Eaton or Brad Armstrong.
Brad Armstrong.
Guys that were just phenomenally talented that could have gone to the moon with their talent, their work ethic, all that. And for some reason, and I have another belief in it, that you go to the level of your talent with the timing and everything else and the environment. But I thought that they were both just incredible guys that could make anybody look great, and every single night gave everything they had.
Very cool. Good answer. Yeah, I say Brad Armstrong all the time. It's funny you said that because another person that you worked with, briefly in the WWE at the time, Sam Houston, when you first came into the WWE before you became the Red Rooster, is I also said Sam Houston in his prime because the guy could really go. I mean, he was gifted. He could. He was lanky. He was kind of tall and lanky and everything, but boy, he could really work. If you watch the match with him and like Buddy Landell and whatnot, man, he could go 25, 30 minutes easily. The guy was great.
Yeah, he was very, very good.
Yeah, and
of course, who's his brother?
Yeah, well, Jake the Snake Roberts, of course. Yeah, the apple doesn't fall. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, especially with Grizzly Smith as being the dad. Oh, and speaking of which, since we mentioned Brad Armstrong,
Right.
One of his former roommates is somebody I spoke with today. And he's somebody that you know quite well. And he actually talked with me for about an hour on the phone. He gave me a buzz. We started talking about stuff. And he asked me some questions about whatnot. And he also called because he said he had something to say to you. And that's Shane Douglas. Shane, I think you might know this story, obviously, here that I'm going at. But Shane told me a really cool story. Oh yeah, and he loves you. And he said he wanted me to tell the story out to you guys. He said that he was kind of getting frustrated where he was there for a while, and that he was wanting to get a draw, money and stuff like that. And before he could get out there and get his money, I believe it was Tommy Gilbert had mentioned to him, you got to go out there and you got to work and everything else. And at the time, I believe you and him traded the championship for a while. And he was on his way out the door, and he basically was coming out there to have one last match with you. And he said the one thing about Terry is that he didn't have the best eyesight inside the ring. So I came out there, and I was in like this undergarment, and I didn't have any gear on because I couldn't get my gear out of the car. So as I'm walking out, all I could see was like Terry squinting at me like, who the hell is this guy? I got inside the ring. We were supposed to do like this little thing, clothesline, crossbody block, go down. And I was supposed to go for the pin, and I was supposed to, kick out. Terry was supposed to kick out. But as the 1-2 came down, Terry pulled me back down on top of him. And he says the title change happened, but it wasn't sure if he ever acknowledged it on TV or whatnot. But he says, I commended Terry for doing that because Terry knew I was leaving and quite upset. And that this was kind of his way of saying, hey, I can understand that. I can respect that. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on that in terms of what was going on at that time?
Yeah, I remember the story a little different, but the deal is that Shane had left the territory.
Yes.
He had quit, and he was on his way home, and he had no money.
Right.
And so he thought he'd come to the show, and if there was a spot open, he would get an advance, and then he would have enough money to get home.
Right.
So he had his car packed, and he couldn't. And that part's true.
Yeah.
All he had was undertights, because I think that's what he had on. Back then you didn't have a lot of money, and you didn't have a lot of possessions because you worked all the time.
Sure.
So I think he was wearing his white undertights as underwear.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, yeah, you can work. so I was in the ring, and he came out, and we worked and had fun, and it was in, I think, Texarkana, if I remember right. And we were working around, and I just played a rib on him. You know, I was the TV champ or North American or something. I had a championship. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And I had him sunset flip me. And he was 1, 2. And when you're in the bottom of a sunset flip, if you grab the guy's head, he can't get away.
Right.
I mean, he's actually top, but he's trying to get me off. You know, he's trying to get off me so he doesn't win, because I was supposed to win because I was the champ. And I hung on to him, and he pinned me. And I jumped up. I looked at him like, you prick. What are you doing? And he's going, I didn't do anything. He was 20 years old. He was green, and he was a great kid.
Yeah.
And I was going, I'm going to tell Watts you stole the belt. And he's trying to hand it back to me. And, you know, and I was laughing. And it was just a great deal. It was no TV back then, and there was no internet, so nobody did it.
Yeah, he said it.
People there thought they saw a title change, but the next night I was, you know, Shane was gone, and I took the belt out again and worked with somebody else. But it was just a fun little entertaining thing that got me fired now.
Yeah. Don't do that anymore, please. We want to see you stay with that. So we kind of went off course a minute to go with the 5 questions, but that was a great story. I wanted to make sure that
I love Shane.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. And him and I like I said, we talked for an hour today, and it was just about everything and anything, whether it was about wrestling or life or anything else like that. You know, he's got a great 3-year-old son he's very nuts about, and he's been promoting the Wrestlers versus Zombies DVD out there with Roddy Piper and Kurt Angle and Jim Duggan and these guys, and he's got a lot on the table, and he's moving around quite a bit, and he's like, you know, this is nice to keep busy and move at my own pace instead of the hectic schedule back in the day where I had to be here and I had to be there, and if I was late I got fined. He says this is really a nice change of pace, and he had nothing but great things to say about you, so I want to make sure that I mention that.
Hey, text me his number, would you? I think I have it, but when we get up there, would you text me his number?
I would be happy to send that to you. Absolutely. I know that he would love that. So not a problem. I'll do it right after we're done with the show. I'll send you over a text on that. Okay, two more questions for you.
Okay.
Real quick here. The thing that I do better than anybody else, and I'm not afraid to say it, is... putting you on the spot.
I don't think I do anything better than anybody. Can I say the one thing that I do understand, I think, as good as anybody?
Sure, of course.
The wrestling business.
Okay.
I understand this business in a way I think very few people do. And that's going to sound arrogant, and I mean it with all humility. I don't understand a lot of things in this world, but the one thing that I have clarity, I believe, is how this business works in the ring, the psychology, and how, you know, proper match structure and all that. And I'm so grateful because I love it. It's the only thing in my life that I've ever wanted to do, and by God's grace, I've been able to do it for 35 years.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm not going to.
Hopefully, I'll get another 5.
Well, yeah, I think you got plenty more years ahead of you. You're only about 40 right now. So, you know, no, but you know what? That's not arrogant at all, because for you to have that confidence to say that, there has to be some validity there. And I'll agree with you. Like I said a moment ago, you know, if I want anybody to train me or to be my mentor or my counselor or whatever else inside a training center like what the WWE has, I really can't think of anybody else better than Terry Taylor. I'm serious. I mean, you have what it takes to be in this business, and I think your answer is not conceited. I don't think it's egomaniac at all. I think it's a very good, honest answer, and, you know, I want you to speak the truth here. So I appreciate that answer very much. So we'll leave it at that. I like it. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I love this business.
Well, and, you know, it's a great business. It's something that a lot of people, you know, either get or they don't. It's like AM radio. You either understand it or you don't. You know, the old talk shows back in the day and the news updates and the sports highlights and stuff like that. You either get it or you don't. Wrestling is the same way. Some people can turn on the channel and go, oh, God, that crappy fake-ass wrestling. And oh, it's fake. Or what, you know, people say what they want to say. But you either get it or you don't. And at a young age, I got it and I followed it, and now I'm doing what I really like to do, and that's talking to some of the great people like yourself and some of the legends in this business, and just getting a chance for all the wrestling fans out there to hear this and get an opportunity for people to understand what you went through and what you did. So that's what I believe. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, here's the last question for you. Top 5.
All right.
My perfect night out is
With my sons.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Whatever it is, just to hang out with my boys.
Cool. You ever go to like the batting cages or anything like that, or go bowling or anything like that?
I can't bowl anymore because I'm kind of crippled up a little bit.
Okay.
Like my back and my neck and stuff aren't what they used to be.
Yeah.
I've only had 34 surgeries, so it's not like I've been put back together or anything.
Oh, my God.
But I like watching them do it.
Yeah. How old are they?
I have a 24-year-old and a 33-year-old, and I have a unique circumstance, so they're still with me.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, they're older. I thought maybe they were a little bit younger than that, but that's great. I mean, to be able to still have a great relationship like that, especially being on the road for all those years. I mean, sometimes it puts quite a strain on families, but it's good that you're so close to your family like that.
Well, my wife was a very strong little woman, and she did a great job raising them.
She sure did. God rest her soul. Absolutely. Well, you know what, Terry? I know we got to kind of get moving on here. I feel like I could talk to you for like another hour just based on the good times we're having here and all the nice talk and everything. And for someone who truly loves the business like yourself and myself, it's easy to talk about. It just comes so easily and so naturally. And I hope maybe when fall rolls around, something like that, and keep your number inside my book, and maybe I can have you back on again, and we can kind of pick up where we left off or something.
Yeah, it'd be my honor to come back, and I'd be happy to do it anytime. I
appreciate that. I know you don't grant a lot of interviews anymore based on what you told me. You kind of been there, done that, and whatnot. And, I mean, I'm honored here from Off the Top Rope Radio and everything to have you on the show and talk about your career. And, again, this coming month, June 2nd, is when it all starts out there in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Gold Coast Hotel, the Cauliflower Alley Club, the CAC as we affectionately call that. Terry Taylor will be there as part of the big main event. He'll be taking home the Iron Mike Mazurki Award. And if you guys out there don't know who Iron Mike is, go look him up on Google and read about him, because what a tremendous talent he was in so many facets of life. And for Terry Taylor to get that award, that's a true honor. So if you guys are coming out there, get out there. If you haven't got your tickets yet, you might be screwed, but do your best to get out there. I know Terry is – it's true. You might be screwed, man. Well, a lot of the guys, when they come out there, they just think, I'm going to walk around and just go meet the guys. But, this is a brother and sisterhood of professional wrestling. It's a very dear society of people who we are. We're there for a lot of reasons. And so if you guys can't get out there this time, man, make sure you do it next time. Go to caulifloweralleyclub.org, get all your information. And Terry, I'll leave you with this. Is there anything you'd like to say to all the wrestling fans out there who are watching right now and listening to us right here on Off the Top Rope Radio?
Yeah, I'm just grateful that they watch, and I hope that they continue to watch. The company's doing everything they can to give the WWE universe the best product they can give them, and the network is phenomenal. I'll tell you what, I wish they had this stuff when I was younger.
I know.
When I was on my way up, because we can pull up any match, anytime on the network, and just the live events. And, if you get a chance to go see the company live, go do it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a fun-filled deal, and it's good for the family. And that's my gratuitous WWE plug. I love this company.
Hey, never hurts to throw one of those out, right, Terry? You know what I mean? So, and you know what? When we get to Vegas, I'm going to be doing a lot of filming and stuff. I try to put over a nice documentary every year to kind of, talk about that. So I'd love to be able to do an interview with you on camera, and then we can put that in there and get it all edited and everything. That'd be on my honor as well if we can do something like that.
Sure.
Sounds good.
That'd be great.
All right. I'll look for you when I see you in a couple weeks. Get a chance to talk and meet each other in person. I really do appreciate your time, buddy. Listen, safe travels to you. All the best to you. God bless you and your wonderful family. And, again, thank you so much for being a part of our show today. We really appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
God bless you. And I'm going to send you over that number for Shane on your text, so keep your eyes open for that, okay?
Yeah, he'll curse you for it.
Nah, he better not. And if you want, I can send you Tommy. Right. I can send you Tommy Rogers' number too, because I know he'd love to kind of catch up with you.
Tommy gave it to me in Vegas.
Good.
I've actually texted to Tommy back and forth.
Yeah, great guy. All right, cool. I'll send you over Shane's.
Right,
you have a nice weekend and a nice night, okay? Thanks, Terry.
Bye.
All right. There you go. Terry Taylor joining us right here on Off the Top Rope Radio, and what an honor it was to talk to him here. I mean, a longtime fan of his. We talked about world-class championship wrestling and the UWF and even things like Mid-South and the WWE and NWA and whatever else. So many great things in the world of wrestling that involve Terry Taylor and some of the guys who came up and did all these wonderful things. And, I really appreciate his time there. And to hear him talk about where he's been and what he's done, it's great. I want to thank Frank Manzo from WrestleReaction.net for joining us earlier on the show. I want to thank everybody who checked in on us on Facebook and emails and whatever else. Thanks, Morgan Dollar, for pointing out that little small error that we had with the volume. I'm glad we got that fixed before the interview with Terry Taylor. And if you guys ever get a chance, check out the Cauliflower Alley Club. Go out to their website, caulifloweralleyclub.org, and check it out. You can get involved. You can become a lifetime member. You can go to the great reunions each and every year, that is. This time it's going to be June 2nd through the 4th. Gold Coast Hotel Casino. You can become a part of the official newsletter with the Colorful LA Club right there. That's the ear, baby. Good stuff about Terry Taylor and Michael Hayes in there and some of the recipients this year. And we'll talk more about this next year. But the Men's Active Award this year going to my good buddy Adam Pierce. The Men's Active Award as well going to Dan Short Sleeve Sampson, who was Jerry Smaller on a recent edition of Raw. A Special Trainers Award for Ron Hutchinson. The Women's Active Wrestling Award, cheerleader Melissa Anderson. Boy, she's gorgeous and a great talent in her own right. The Lou Thez Award going to Michael P.S. Hayes. We talked about the Iron Mike Mazurki Award going to Terry Taylor, who was our guest here for today. And the Women's Retired Wrestling Award, Debbie the Killer Tomato. There's so many more. I'm going to get more into this next week right here on Off the Top Rope Radio on May 29th, 2014. So listen, thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to share any comments or questions or whatever about the show, you can always send us an email at Brian, B-R-I-A-N, at kqckradio.com. It's that easy, okay? And we'll be happy to share any of your comments and whatnot. If you write to us, we'll definitely write back. It's always something that we enjoy doing, and we appreciate your time here on Off the Top Rope Radio. And don't forget, next week, we're going to be talking more about the CAC, so get involved and check it out. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Off the Top Rope Radio this week. We'll be back next week with some more great stuff. Everybody have a great week. Take care. God bless. See you soon.
Thank you once again, wrestling fans, for listening to today's show. We would love to hear from you away from the airwaves, so we invite you to like our Facebook page at Off the Top Rope Radio. And any emails you want to send, please send them directly to me at Brian, B-R-I-A-N, at kqckradio.com. We'll talk to you next week right here on KQCK Radio, USA Coast.